Well, hello, my beautiful people of YouTube. Bullhorn Betty is present, and we are here to talk about the up-to-date information in the Lilly and Jack Sullivan case. I know that this was not a planned live, but there was an article that has been released. We are going to go over that. And I have been meaning to go over an email that I had received. So we're going to be going over that email that I thought was very, very, very good. It was authored by our friend April. She's on the show. Her and her husband support us a lot over here. So good evening. First to say hey, Amy saying yay. ER Blue, Melanie, Deanna, it's nice to see you guys. Outer Banks, Plant Lady, The Real Me Too, Shauna. Hey guys, it's nice to see you. Delilah, you gonna get situated? Would you like to say hi to everybody? Come. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Hi everybody. I'm usually under the covers because my mommy's working, but I just been really active today because she gave me a little bit of her milkshake. But we won't tell the animal people that I got a little bit of milkshake, because I'm sure they probably don't like the stuff that's contained in a milkshake. But I was worth every little lick. Okay, she said I'm done. I'm done, Mommy. Thank you. Thank you for prancing me around, but I'm done. That's all the few licks she got off the straw of the milkshake, okay? I don't know if you guys know, but Sonic, half off milkshakes after 5. I don't know about you, but any milkshake that's under $2 from a place other than your own kitchen, that's a hell of a deal. But Sonic in my area is getting a little, I don't know. Their speakers aren't working. I'm deaf. I sat there for 15 minutes, 2 different times. The last 2 times I went there, and I wanted a strawberry cheesecake shake, and I got a strawberry shake. So, hey, you know what? I'm rolling with it. I still tipped them. You know, I didn't complain. Now, if it was a chocolate or just plain vanilla, I would have had to send it back, but they put some strawberries in it, so I'm good. I'm good. Feed 'em beans. Let's not and say we did. Melinda, it's nice to see ya. Hey, Cinda, Peggy, Robin, JH. Hey, Jack, it's nice to see you. Busy mama, pup cup today, LOL. Amy, okay, I said, oh, Robin gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership, and it looks like Crime Critter received it. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I.e. the insane aside love. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room, and welcome to the crazy house. You officially made it, where only the sane can reside peacefully. Onion powder. Oh, hello. And Pebbles, our beautiful Pebbles, is up in the chat. It is not playtime. She just tossed this at me. I'm not playing with you. If you do, I'm scared because if I throw it, she's going to think I'm going to play with her, and we're in the middle of the live. Here, let me just give it back to you. There you go. How about a treat? You know what? A treat always seems to make you better. These things are an arm and a leg. Those right there, oh, you can't see them. Those right there, $60 a pound. Right here. And of course, they're her absolute favorite treat in the whole wide world. They are a turkey tendon with pumpkin. Now she's not tossing toys at me. That's how easy it is. $60 a pound. Now, I'm sorry. Treats, you paying $60 a pound. But thank God they're good quality treats. I bought for her because I love her. Okay, there better not be anybody saying I don't love this pup. She is so spoiled, it's not even funny. You're in trouble now, especially when they're that expensive. But she is, and she'll eat this in about a month. So it's about she's already cost just in the treat, this one treat bag. That's what she eats that in a month. And I bought her all kinds of twists, believe it or not. Okay, this is the only thing she is cheap on. I have bought her every kind of twist imaginable, from the magic bone ones to, I do rawhide free stuff for her, because I heard rawhide is bad. I don't know if that's true or not. I just don't trust my government anymore, especially after COVID. But hey, what the heck? She seems to love these things. It's got the little chicken wrap on it. And I've bought other treats, from brand names with the chicken wrap on it, and she does not like it like these. So this is literally my own, and these right here are still $10. But this is probably about the cheapest treat she has. She's mad at me. She's like, what? You taking my treat? Okay, here you go. You can have it. All right, I'm done. As soon as I picked that up, she spit the tendon out with the pumpkin. She's not chewing on it anymore. She tried to take my snack. Now she's back to the tendon. Okay, I'll put that down since I've already teased her with it. So now she's got 2 snacks, probably more than she should have this late at night. I digress. So guys, we have, we don't really have a whole lot to go on when it's coming to the Lilly and Jack case, but we do have a little bit, and there are still some news outlets working, tirelessly to keep the public apprised of what is going on. So we want to make sure that we're, oops, I'm hitting the wrong button here. Who is that? Hold on. Pebbles said she knows. Okay, well, have a great day. It sounds like a troll, so don't worry about them. We'll take care of them. No problem. I wish I had the button to play the troll thing, but I'm on this way, so we're kind of, we don't have it. We don't have it, but we can. Does anybody remember the song, the beat of the song? I don't even remember the beat of the song. Ooh, I wonder if I can go in here and get it. Hold on. We're gonna troll this troll. Can I troll the troll? Let's find out. StreamYard. This will be interesting if I can do it. I have to go. Oh, will it let me in? Let's see. Who knows? It will let me in, but it's not showing the live on that end. Interesting. Okay, I don't want that. I just want to enter a chat room. That sounds so dirty. Alright, it's too late. I can't figure it out. I was gonna play the troll song. I was gonna jump into the StreamYard and get a different one up and play the troll song, but it seems to be more difficult than it needs to be. So the National Post ran an article, and this dropped just a little bit of, just a few hours ago, and it was related to all scenarios being considered. RCMP says as search continues for the Nova Scotia siblings. Now, one thing. Oh, come on, Delilah. Are you situated? Okay. Sorry, guys. She's awfully. Maybe sugar wasn't the best thing for her. I couldn't drink the shake without sharing some with her. Okay, I'm sorry. I just couldn't. Well, Jack, hopefully Onion's out of here. I blocked Onion, whatever onion powder. Shouldn't curse onion powder. Onion powder is a good seasoning to have. It says Mounties search for 2 young Nova Scotia siblings who went missing more than a month ago. Says their administered lie detector test collected hundreds of hours of surveillance video from the area around the children's home, fielded 488 tips, and formally interviewed 54 people. They still haven't found Lilly and Jack. The investigation is being led by a seasoned investigators committed to gathering information about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack. RCMP Corporal Tremblay said Wednesday. All scenarios are being considered and every resource and tool at their disposal. Mounties have previously said there is no evidence the children were abducted. Tremblay would not say Wednesday if investigators still believe that to be the case. He would not get into whether police believe the children were still alive. That is interesting. Let me read that back to you guys, okay? Just a little bit. Mounties have previously said there's no evidence the children were abducted. Tremblay would not say Wednesday if the investigators still believe that to be the case. He would not get into whether police believe the children are still alive. But in all fairness, I have to think that that's kind of an asked and answered type of scenario. You know, basically, I think the head honcho those first days made that assessment, and they haven't said otherwise, you know, as far as deviance or anything like that. Did I not set up? Okay, hold on just a second. Let me fix this. Looks like we have a lot of trolls in here, and I think it's because I forgot to put my settings on. That's okay, you little sweet trolls. You little sweet trolls. I wish you guys would be nicer. You know what? Being this miserable is really just sad. But you know what? If anybody deserves misery, it's the people that cause the misery. So that's what I say. That is exactly what I did. I didn't set it up. I was meaning to, and I didn't. Here we go. Bullhorn Betty to the rescue. If you guys are in here chatting and haven't been a member for or a subscriber for a day, you're about to lose your privileges. Thank your local trolls, but don't worry, just sub up and tomorrow you'll be able to talk. If people could just act right up in the chat, we wouldn't have to worry about this. But, you know, we got mental illness, unchecked mental illness. Not as bad as Travis Decker, but pretty bad. This is social media. Welcome aboard. Okay, we fixed that problem, so circle back. I don't believe I have breaking news on my title. This is a thumbnail that I've been using since the beginning of the case, so I'd suggest you just watch me a little bit more, and maybe you'd know that. But anyways, go have a great night. So let's get back to the article at hand here. So that is kind of... I don't know how to take whether, you know, law enforcement would answer that question again. I think it's well known that law enforcement do not believe these two children are still alive. We're leaving no stone unturned in this case, Tremblay said. He wouldn't say how many people have been subjected to lie detector tests, so there may be possibility of more people that underwent a polygraph examination. So they haven't told anybody how many people have taken those during the hunt for the missing children. Experts are examining every question and answer that those individuals are providing. So they're about to be, every single word, statement, they're about to be under scrutiny and analyzed heavily. That's interesting. And it could guide the investigation because they're going to probably find multiple inconsistencies. They're going to be able to start doing the pressure, you know, more pressured questioning. Mounties won't say if they have any suspects in the case. I can't speak to persons of interest at this time, Tremblay says. It would compromise the investigation that is ongoing. So I think those words speak for themselves. Absolutely downplayed, but speaks volumes in my opinion, because it would compromise the investigation. So there is an investigation that could be compromised by speaking of a person of interest at this juncture. To me, that is a critical statement that, again, appears to be downplayed by law enforcement. And I'm sure for a variety of reasons, probably to tone down rhetoric and, speculation that could cause. See, a lot of people, this is what happens. We come out here, we talk about it, we have our, what would be referred to basically as a talk show, right? We have a talk show. You guys are listening and participating, almost like the old time radio shows where we listened to music and then called in and talked to the DJ and stuff like this. But this is a little different because you can communicate with me in real time. And that is much different than what happened before. So when we come here and we're public and everybody can see us out there in the ether, breaking apart cases, and a lot of us, we've been studying this stuff for so long that police procedure comes into play. But the problem is we discuss that police procedure in ongoing and active investigations. And while it is our right to do, right? It is our right to do. We have to acknowledge that things that wouldn't be readily available to somebody, if they're tuning into social media this day and age, they would pretty much have a fairly good idea of police practices and investigation, because retired police are on here, publicly available. There's retired detectives, retired, forensic analysis guys. There's behavior guys. There's statement analysis guys. There's FBI agents. Like, you get a whole, like, if you are a criminal and you want to know what the next steps are, if you did something that you didn't expect to get this kind of attention, it's a smorgasbord of information out there to help aid, the criminal as opposed to law enforcement. So, when law enforcement does come out, even though they can't pinpoint what we're being dishonest about or what we're passing around that's misinformation, they're never specific. You notice that? It's like a broad brush that when law enforcement goes up there and, social media, you be careful what I hear on social media. Are you kidding me? You know why most of the people are here on social media? Because we have to be careful about mainstream media. That's why we're kind of doing our own thing over here. So for law enforcement around the country, you can keep beating up on social media, but the reality of it is that we cause problems in their investigation. Not intentional, all above board, because at the end of the day, law enforcement does not believe in First Amendment or freedom of press when they're investigating the case. Their priority is the case. So right off the rip, media is not their friend. And it doesn't mean social media. It's mainstream media too. Back in the day, it used to be, don't listen to everything you hear on your news. You got to be careful. And, the responsibility of reporting. No, responsibility of reporting. Freedom of press is our government not being able to tell what news and how our news comes across. It is a freedom that is coveted. And I think more mainstream media don't honor that. They honor the boardroom. And at the end of the day, they have to, because it's their job. It's whether they keep their job or somebody else that is going to listen to the boardroom does. So the only people that aren't regulated like that are mainstream media. And so we step on a little bit of law enforcement's toes because we analyze these cases in real time, talking about real life police procedure and tactic. And so they don't like it. And I get why they don't like it. I just realized I have a tag still on my shirt. I like these. I picked these up here. Can I show you? I picked these up here for their little, cute little $4.99, $4.98 at Walmart. They have some tank tops, and in the summertime, I need some. So I got like $20 where I got like 4 or 5 shirts of different colors. So I got this gray. I got a lighter gray. Ooh, and I like that. I like this color. I like this color purple. It's a nice color purple. So, anyways, getting on with this. Mounties first got the call, and they're saying on the record that it came in Friday at around 10 a.m. This is what the National Post is reporting. So they said at 10 a.m., but I have to assume that it wasn't specifically right on 10 a.m. dot, but that's the way it's conveyed here in this article. So I'm still wondering why it took 44 minutes for law enforcement to show up, but we'll get into those details later. Lily's 6, Jack's 4. They've been missing from their trailer off Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, Pictou County, Nova Scotia, Canada. Their mother and stepfather told police the children must have slipped out while they were in bed with the baby. The last month, the RCMP said the children were seen in public with family members one day earlier. Oh, and here's another thing that I'm gonna, if you guys want to read that, it's the National Post. We're not going to be here too long. I'm going to get over to April's email here in just a second. But you know how we've been talking about the reservation. One thing that was, I was listening to something and it was like a light bulb went off, you know. These two children are not Daniel's children. So they were living on the reservation long before they moved in with Daniel. So this whole, I don't know who started this rumor about them not being accepted into the tribe when they have tribal blood. Their own mother is in the tribe. It just doesn't ring true. So I ran a story, you guys probably seen it, where I asked, you know, is this really how it is with the tribes in Canada and stuff like that? Oh, Sonia, look at you. You can't stay away. You can't stay away. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you up and moving around. It makes my heart happy. Hey, Salty Mom. It's nice to see you. But it was really weird because I was watching something, and a few of you guys sent me it, that Detective Myers, you know, a couple of videos you guys sent me from that Detective Myers. And I thought it was pretty interesting because they talk about the chief coming out and making statements. I must have missed that. If somebody comes across the chief's statements, or whether he made a post or however that was conveyed, if you guys do find it, can you send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com and let me know that that's what it is? Because I'd like to review the chief's statements. But it is my understanding that Chief did make a statement, and he spoke of those children. He did not speak of support or even reference their mother. So from what I'm hearing, that is a big deal. Also, one of our audience members did reach out to me to let me know that, let me just read this little bit to you. I think this is important. We'll get over to April. Actually, yeah, I'll have to re-look that up, but we'll get over to April. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. I won't, this person did not say I could use their name, so I will not be using their name. Let me make sure their name's not anywhere in here. So I'm just going to read what they wrote, and hopefully this enlightens you. Again, this is just coming. I don't know the answer, so this is not me. I didn't know the answer. I put the question out there to the public, and somebody has responded. So this is what they've said. I live in Nova Scotia, and it takes a lot to be kicked out of the tribe in Canada. Right off the rip. Takes a lot. So it's my understanding when you're born to a tribe member, you're part of the tribe. Somebody's going to have to clarify that with me too. I mean, if your mom is part of the tribe and you're born on the reservation, I mean, you're family, right? I don't know. Somebody's going to have to clarify that. But listen to this. It says, as a white woman, I adopted 3 Indian kids and brought them up in a white home in a white society. They are now adults and very much belong to their reservation. They have applied for and received their treaty cards. They have received funding from their reserve for secondary schooling and other things. The oldest is separated from his wife, and she receives funding for his 3 children from the reserve. So I doubt that Jack and Lily are not accepted by the tribe, which is very interesting. Again, I don't know much about tribes. It's almost like autism. When we started Sebastian's case, I was very ignorant on the subject matter of autism. Now, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I think I have a good understanding, definitely a far cry from where I was when I started the case of Sebastian Rogers. Maybe we'll learn more about, the tribes, the reservation, the cooperation between the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the tribal police, or the tribal whatever. I don't know if they have special names or anything, because again, I'm ignorant. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any tribe or any tribal leader or any whatever. It's not I just don't understand. And so that's where I'm at. So we'll learn, because I know that there's a lot of people out there, and when you ask for help, people like to help. So I don't know a lot about the Indian tribes. If you have more information than me, please educate me. I'm always about learning new things, especially in subject matters that I am very ignorant in. I believe in this day and age, ignorance is a choice. So I choose not to be ignorant. I choose to be educated. I choose to always learn. And I hope I never stop learning. So the question, does anyone know if RMCP can search the reservation's secret burial grounds? I don't think so. I think that would be considered disrespectful to them. I mean, with approval. I'm sure with approval from the chief, they can do anything they want, as long as they show the respect and go through the proper procedures to have something like that, even if it's done in secret. But as long as it's not doing it in secret from the tribe. I think if they were to do something that underhanded, that would cause a lot of hurt feelings. I would assume, because I know I would be, very upset if I had a business or personal, right? If we have an agreement that we're going to be cooperating and you do some dirty stuff, then yeah, I'd probably be really, really upset. So hopefully they don't engage in that and they work really good together. But from my understanding, and again, you guys know I don't know very much, but from my understanding, they work pretty good together from everything people have told me. So I'm just going to trust that. But I thought that was super interesting, and I know that we needed to touch base on that, because I never thought about that. Like when people were starting to talk about the reservation, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I was right along with everybody else. That's interesting. I can't believe they didn't accept the kids, but now that they're missing, they're accepted into the tribe. And then I was watching something and it started talking about their history and I'm like, wait a minute. Now that truly doesn't make sense, because they weren't born to Daniel. They're not Daniel's kids. They were living on the reservation before she ran away and cut off all communication from everybody, which was about a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago to 2 years ago. That's when she cut off communication with everybody. But before that, from everything I can see, everything was hunky-dory. But I didn't realize, even as this other Nova Scotia lady, how she was speaking, being in a white home, it's like a very ethnic difference between, white upbringing and tribal upbringing. So hearing the language and the stark differences, it's very interesting. So they very much value their tribe and their tribe members, and making and offering the reservation to their people. So it seems like it was an oddity, like for Malehya to be with Dan. It almost sounds like it was, that forbidden love. I don't know how to explain it, but how like throughout history and throughout time, like the Hatfields and the McCoys, you know, or the one of the side's daughters and one of the side's sons, you know, get together, and it's that forbidden love that they're not supposed to because they have this feud, you know. And it's just really weird because I was reading some stuff and it was basically telling me for Malehya, you know, a tribe member to be living off the reservation and in the area that she is living in is unheard of from what I'm hearing. Now, somebody else in that area that's more up to snuff on the, you know, the reservation and Indians versus the Canadians and stuff like that, I'm all ears. I'd like to learn about this. I mean, aside from the missing kids, this whole aspect of the tribe and Canada and how they have to work is actually interesting to me. I'd like to learn a little more about that aspect of it. Yes, it's going to help in the Lilly and Jack case, but just for my personal curiosity. I mean, I've never seen such strange stuff before to have, you know, like I'm looking at it like you're Canadian mounted police. It sounds like they're the official Canadian law enforcement, and then you're hearing that an official law enforcement's got to go ask a chief if they can be a law enforcement. I mean, the whole thing just is really, it's really interesting to me. And I just want to learn more. So that aspect of it. But here, I want to read this to you because this seems like this took a lot to process and to research. So I wanted to read this to you, and this is from one of our members in chat that was kind of analyzing this whole thing about the Nova Scotia case with Lilly and Jack. And it says, why would the police investigate one parent but not the other in a missing kid case when parents are divorced? When a child goes missing in a case involving divorced parents, law enforcement will evaluate various factors to determine their investigative approach. If they focus on one parent more than the other, it might be due to custody arrangements, behavior and circumstances, previous concern, evidence and witness accounts, and legal status. For custodial arrangements, it's one parent does not have custody or has a history of custody dispute, the police may investigate them more closely. Behavioral and circumstances category. If one parent's actions before or after the child's disappearance seem suspicious, such as withholding information, inconsistencies in their story, or unusual behavior, the police may prioritize looking into them. Previous concerns. If there were prior allegations of neglect, abuse, or threats involving the missing child, the police may have reason to investigate that parent more thoroughly. That's called probable cause. So they have probable cause to investigate Chris, which would include subpoenas and warrants for his house, his home, his car, his job. They have probable cause to do a full investigation on Chris, so there's no reason why they shouldn't have plenty of data. Moreover, their parents. And one other key. I just remembered this. This is huge. So, getting back to this, so I didn't confuse you. If there's a prior allegation of neglect, abuse, threat involving a missing child, the police may have reason to investigate that parent more thoroughly. In evidence and witness account, if there are clues suggesting one parent's involvement, such as a sighting, phone records, or location data, officers may focus on them to find the child faster. Legal status. If a parent has a criminal background or pending legal matter, it may influence law enforcement investigation. Ultimately, police aim to locate the child as quickly as possible, so their focus may shift based on emerging evidence. Every case is different, and their approach is typically guided by facts, witness statements, and investigative findings. Would you like to discuss any specifics further? If the child lives with the mother and the father has an alibi, the child goes missing in the middle of the night, why would the father be investigated and not the mother? Even if the father has an alibi and the child lived with the mother, law enforcement may investigate him for several reasons: routine protocol, custody related concerns, evidence or prior circumstances, witness testimonies, standard procedure. In missing child cases, both parents are typically considered in the investigation regardless of custody arrangements or alibi, to rule out any potential involvement. Custody related concerns: if there were past custody disputes or concerns about parent relationship, authorities may investigate both parents thoroughly. Evidence or prior circumstances: if there's any evidence such as prior threats, past incidents, or communication that suggests involvement, the father may still be examined. Witness testimonies: if someone mentioned the father in connection with the child's disappearance, law enforcement may need to follow that lead. Standard procedure: an alibi does not necessarily clear someone immediately. Investigators verify and cross-check all claims to ensure accuracy. However, if a child went missing while in the mother's care, she would also be under scrutiny, especially if there were inconsistencies in her statements or gaps in her account of what happened. Authorities aim to cover all possibilities to ensure the child's safe recovery. Why would a child run away in the middle of the night, Tennessee, in February with no coat and shoes? A child running away in the middle of the night of a cold February night in Tennessee without shoes or coat is highly concerning. There could be several possible reasons for such risky decision. Fear or urgency, which is what Seth had stated. Confusion, disorientation, which I'm not sure about. Influence or manipulation, impulse, adventure, mental health struggles. Regardless of the reason, this type of situation would likely prompt an urgent search due to risk exposure to cold temperatures, exhaustion, and potential harm. If there's a specific case where you're thinking about, I can explore more possible factors and resources related to that child. And this goes on for a little bit more. This is quite extensive. I didn't realize it was this extensive. So what we'll do is we will pick up from this tomorrow morning on our 10 a.m. show, and we will go over this more thoroughly. Now, the one thing that I did remember coming coming back around was on that video. One of the situations that have been playing out in my mind, because when I look at these cases, I kind of feel some type of way. Sometimes I feel like this is like more of a Leilani Simon case, or in the case of Decker, it's like I'm getting some flashbacks of Brian Laundrie's case and stuff like that. And I kept wondering if Malehya was as sneaky as possible. Maybe Daniel just playing the devil's advocate card, just to make sure I'm covering all bases. I knew she had a car and we talked about it, but she's a stay-at-home mom, so we didn't talk about her goings and comings. Well, it sounds like that she's had a habit of leaving at night, even though she's a stay-at-home mom, and some of the neighbors have questioned that. So I'm, it's giving me more Leilani Simon vibes by hearing that statement. So I'm going to investigate that a little bit more to find out where that originated from, and if you guys find any information related to her history, or history at home, or neighbors talking about the comings and goings, those will be on social media. I noticed that this case is pretty much in the Facebook groups. A lot of information is coming out in the Facebook groups, as well as some of the Canadian news reports that aren't coming out in the video reports. So you've got to read the articles to get more information. So anyways, that's just kind of where we are in this case. There is some stuff starting to come out, but it's really not helping the parents, in my opinion. It's kind of supporting that they may have more knowledge of this. It says, I'm pretty mad at Summer's mom and dad just signed their rights over to their kids, including Summer, to avoid being charged. What is wrong? Yeah, well, that's been a battle for a while. They never paid their child support. They act like their kids were ripped from them. Like, I think their child support was $25 or $35 a month, and they wouldn't even pay that. Now, I'm not a Candace or Don Wells fan. As a matter of fact, I have been searching for his daughter for, I want to say since September of 2021. It was October we started talking about it. It was by November or December of 2021 we were out there. Our first time out there. I remember Don Wells telling us we were 6 months late, yet here we are 4 years later. Don Wells, we know each other. We know each other. And I can tell you he looks a lot soberer than he once did, but I absolutely believe he abused Summer. I'll leave it at that. So that's where I'm at. All right, guys, we'll go over this. I didn't realize it was so. It was a lot longer than I thought it was. But it's got a lot of great information on it, and I did my own search, so we need to go over that. So tomorrow we'll have an in studio live, and we'll put up the second screen and go over some of the other information I'm finding out. So the new information is this appears to be a criminal investigation. They're not really releasing a whole lot of information because they don't want to jeopardize the integrity of the investigation. They won't tell us how many people have taken a polygraph test. They have interrogated or interviewed 54 people. They have over close to almost 500 leads, 488 tips that they have fielded. It's been an extensive search, but one thing is that there's no evidence that these children got out in that forest. So I understand why they get quiet. And like I say, when we start getting ghosted, when you start seeing those thumbnails about being ghosted, we know where we're at. We know what time it is. We know what time it is. It's not a good time. I believe Malehya's behavior, her mother's behavior, something happened. The question is, did Daniel know? I truly believe whatever happened, it looks like Malehya will be ultimately responsible. Maybe Daniel was helping her cover it up to some extent, but Greg Hartley, he's a behavior analysis, a body language expert, and he says we need to really focus on Daniel. He's more concerned with Daniel's behavior than he is Malehya's. But in all fairness, none of us have been able to observe Malehya's behavior or statements. We got one bite at the apple. That was it. And she shut up. And I want to remind you guys one thing and one thing only. She has chosen to remain silent. And she said law enforcement told her not to provide media interviews, but everybody's been providing media interviews, right? So it sounds to me like they were questioning her as a suspect and read her rights, and now she has chosen to remain silent. Her choice, and she's executed it. So that tells me a lot, and I truly believe they are looking at her as a person of interest and a suspect in the disappearance of her children. How could they not? There's no evidence to support their story. And when a child wanders off, whether you like it or not, whether the child comes back well or dead, there's always evidence where that child is going. There's always something. Boot print, footprint, clothing, the backpack, the diaper, right? If a 4-year-old needed to take off his soiled pull-up, he most likely would take off his soiled pull-up and not put his pants back on. I mean, it's just kids. That's how kids do. They don't think like we do. He's 4 years old, right? So that's still, you know, in pull-ups. I mean, that's 4 years old and still being in pull-ups. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure my mama had me out of diapers before I was 2 years old. And I know that potty training boys are a little bit more difficult. So I'm taking that into consideration. But 4? I mean, like, he's in preschool. I don't remember wearing diapers in preschool. I'm sorry, I just don't. And I've got a pretty darn good memory. I got a pretty darn good memory. My mama can tell you, my memory goes back. I remember things that I shouldn't remember. It's just the way my brain works. So, anyways. All right, guys. Well, that's kind of the show. That's kind of the questions. That's kind of where we are in this case. You know, we're not. I'm happy to hear that law enforcement is speaking to news outlets. You know, they're not giving a lot of information, but I like seeing that they're keeping that open communication, that open dialogue. But to be honest with you, even though they didn't give a whole lot of information, we were able to get a lot out of that. With that limited information, new information we have not heard otherwise. So we need to be exploring this a little bit more. And, you know, again, this is not one that we're going to be able to search. We really don't have any history on these people. So the only thing that we can really do here on the Bullhorn Betty channel for help in this case really is just advocating and telling you guys what we learn. Now, I think we all have our opinions that you either had the opinion they wandered off, they were abducted, or the parents did it. I'm sorry, I don't think there's a whole lot of other opinions out there other than those 3. So we'll try to cover those. I'm not really going to be focusing on abduction. So if you're wanting more information on the abduction theory related to this case, I'm not going to be the channel you're going to want to get that commentary from, because I'm probably not going to discuss it. I don't believe these kids were abducted. And if I don't believe that these kids were abducted, there's no way I could possibly try to, you know, provide that perspective until more information becomes available. The mom's behavior is, to me, telling enough. So I'm not going to waste my time going down a rabbit hole that I know that law enforcement is not looking into, and they have told us way, way, way up front it's not a possibility. And I'd have to think if they did find information that led them to believe that an abduction is a possibility, they're not going to keep that silent. They'd have to tell their public, because, again, it's an abduction and we need to find the kids. So, you know, there is that. I don't see law enforcement withholding that information, whether, I mean, even if it goes to the entire, they have to tell people whether this is an abduction. They have adamantly said that this is not an abduction, and their community would be highly upset at them if they lied to them. So I really don't believe this is an abduction, and I don't believe that this is a child wandering off into the woods, because something would have been found. Something. Where's his diaper? At this point, where's his diaper? Until I see his diaper, they weren't even in the woods. Show me the diaper. There is none, because they weren't out there. So where did Malehya pick them up and take them to in the middle of the night? Because I believe that that is what happened, or what we're going to learn. Because there's nothing else that makes any sense. We know that by the afternoon of the 1st, they were out in New Glasgow. So from New Glasgow to 10 a.m. on Friday, where were they? At some point, they had to go back home. So they were back home. So from the time that they got home to the 10 a.m., what happened? So, and she's lawyered up. That means she's making it even more difficult for law enforcement to ask her questions or get to the bottom of where her children are. So you've got a totally uncooperating mother with 2 missing children. She's a piece of shit to me. Plain and simple. And why Canada or the chief of her reservation would allow her around her daughter is beyond me. It's beyond me. I guess maybe they like gambling with another child's life. I don't know. I think it's risky. I think that policy is a bad policy. I think it's a bad policy. I'm sorry. I don't have any respect for law enforcement that has a situation where children are missing. The parent's story isn't making sense, and you're going to leave another vulnerable child in their care. That doesn't make sense to me. That's disgusting to me. That's playing Russian roulette with another child. I'm not okay with that. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channels here on YouTube as well as TikTok, and hit up our Facebook group that we have specifically for the Nova Scotia siblings, Lilly and Jack Sullivan. God bless you.